Hello, every fucking body. Guess who finally picked up a book and started reading it? Me. Oh my gosh. So basically, I bought this book way, way, way back in like 2020. And if you guys know anything about 2000, the fuck? Oh my god, I'm being exposed for my music taste. Well, anywho, so basically, I bought this book, right? I bought this book way back in 2020, thinking that I was going to be some literary whatever the fuck, okay? And this was like what, before I went to college and stuff like that. And so I was in like this rut, and I was on TikTok a lot. And let's just say on TikTok there's a fandom going on, okay? It's called Bungo Stray Dogs. And if this name rings a bell, I hope it doesn't, because oh my gosh. But I will admit to you guys something right here and right now. I don't like that man. Like in the anime, I don't like that man, primarily because me and him share the same Myers-Briggs. And I get like, whenever you kind of have like the same Myers-Briggs as somebody, I feel like you can just see right through them. And so for me, I see right through him, and it's not enjoyable for me to watch him, which is why I picked up this novel, because I was like, I want to see what the fuck going on, you know? I just want to see. And well, it's long story short, it's 2025, and so it took me 5 fucking years to get through this book. And I'll be honest with you, I am only halfway through, but I just have a lot of thoughts about it so far. I literally read this like what 2 hours. So yeah, this is like a 4-hour read, which isn't too bad. Well, hopefully it's a 2-hour read, but 4-hour read, but who knows. But so yeah, bought this book in 2020, mainly because of the anime Bungo Stray Dogs, just because I wanted to be a poser. And I have other books from Bungo Stray Dogs, like with the characters. I have like stuff from like Crime and Punishment. I have Notes from the Underground, and all these other books that I picked up long ago that I just never read. And now I'm getting through them because, one, I'm thinking of writing my own novel. So one of the things when I was like researching, right, because you gotta research, I was researching, and they were like, oh, if you want to be a good writer, you have to read a lot. And I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. So I'm reading a lot, and it just so happens that this is in my library, because right now I don't really have that many books, I'll be honest with you. I have more manga than I do books, and I'm trying to write a book, and so I can't really read manga and be like, oh, that's a book. And so yeah, so I'm reading this, and I just have the thought. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not like a literary critic. I don't really read books like that. This is like probably the first like book I've read since like I was in high school, or like not even high school, probably high school. But even then, I was just skimming through them. But this is like me sitting down, and like when I say I annotate things, I don't really annotate things like in like, you know, like, oh, this means this and that. Like I literally just like LOL, this is funny, or stuff like that, right? I'm not like a serious annotator, and I'm not like a serious reader. I don't really do things like this where it's like, oh, this means this, because no, like I'll just say when things are funny, and I'll like summarize things. And if you guys don't want my opinions, then you can fuck off, okay? But basically, if you don't know anything about No You're Human, I think it's like considered one of the saddest books or something like that. I remember like way back when people were like, oh, like I remember reading this book and it changed my perspective on humanity. And at the time I was 18, and I was super like I don't know, like influenced, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I really need to read this because I'm in a rut myself. But now that I'm like 5 years out, and I'm like graduated from college, and I'm not like mentally ill, but I'm not like mentally sane. So I don't know. So for me personally, I find this book to be a very humorous retelling of a man's pathetic life. And I don't know, I don't really consider this a sad book because I was laughing throughout the majority of the pages so far. So basically, let's just get into it, right? So we start out the book. Basically with the man, I don't remember his fucking name, right? The man retelling his fucking life. And so basically he's born from a rich family. His dad is like a fucking politician, and he has like 10 siblings. And basically he's like retelling all this shit about like fuck, just like how he was like this meek kid that like eventually became a joker, like, you know, someone who like laughs, who's like able to make jokes and whatnot, because he's just a meek kid, and that was the only way that he knew how to express himself, was to, create humor around him. And I mean, I can relate to that, like when you're a kid and you don't have anything going for you, the least you can do is crack a joke. Yeah. So I understand that, right? That's empathetic. That's understandable and whatnot. And that he was a really sick kid. I don't know if that had to do with fucking anything, but yeah, he was a really sick kid. And the thing is, okay, so the main premise of this like novel is like he just doesn't feel human. He doesn't feel empathy. He really just doesn't feel anything. He just feels empty, right? And so when he says things like, I have never been aware that my stomach has been empty. The fuck does that mean? I'm sorry, but what the fuck does that mean? I'm sorry, King, but like if your stomach is empty, then just fucking eat it. Like not fucking eat it, but like I don't fucking know, okay? And then there's like what the fuck was it? There was a page. I do like the phrase like eat or die. I think that's good, but then he's like, "Oh, but then it just sounds like a threat to me." And I'm just like, cause you're weird. Like I don't know what the fuck you mean by that. And I do like this one phrase: humans being worked to earn their bread, for if they don't eat, they die. Okay, I like that. But then he's like, "Oh, fuck that." Okay, and I'm just like, bro, like every time I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty chill." He's like, "Oh no, fuck that." And I'm just like, maybe I'm dumb. And maybe I am, right? And so basically his dad like goes to Tokyo or something, and he's like, okay, he like lines up all these kids, because that's just how they did back in Japan, I guess. He lines up all these kids and like, okay, I'm going to Tokyo, so what the fuck do y'all want? And those kids are like, I want a book, I want a toy. And the main character, being the meek, shy man that he is, can't tell his authoritative father that he wants a book. And so he just like stands there and just smiles, and his dad's like, man, fuck you. And he gets in a bad mood. He's like, you know what, fuck you, I'll just get you a book, get the fuck out of my face. And then the kid obviously feels bad about that, so he like sneaks into his dad's office, rummages through his shit, finds that notebook, and like writes down Lion's Mask. And when his dad goes to Tokyo and he's in the toy shop and he's buying the shit for the kids, he like opens his notebook to see what the fuck they wanted, and he finds the little note that his son left him, and he just found it so hilarious. So he told his wife, summon that boy, bring him to me. I had to tell him how funny it was. And and yeah, and then that's just how it is, right? And the boy, the entire time, he was like standing like behind a thing, and he was like listening onto the conversation, so he already knew his dad found his little jest rather funny, right? And he knew that was funny too. And then so at school he would do that, and like he would do this thing, right? I found this one like particular pretty funny, right? So in school he would just be the kind of like the class clown, and he would like intentionally like write really funny stories. And this one instance, right, he like goes and spies on his teacher. So he like sends his assignment in, and then he like follows his teacher to like the fucking grading room, or like whatever, the break room, and he literally like spies on the motherfucker and watches him as he like reads the story that he wrote, and like literally gets off on his teacher like finding it funny. Like it's weird. Okay, it's weird. He's like, oh, like I just love making people laugh because it gives me meaning. And I'm like, okay, but he's like, but I'm empty inside. I'm like, okay, yeah, like, okay, like we all feel that way. The fuck. Yeah, so like the thing about the story, about the teacher reading the story, he's like, I watched him press my paper I watched him press my paper onto the other teachers. I felt very pleased with myself. Yeah. And then basically that's it. Like he just like is a kid, and he's like watching his dad, his politician dad, like interact with all these people, and he's kind of like, these people are kind of fake, because this dad like throws this like political party, and the kid notices that his dad's friends are like talking smack behind his back. And then he also notices that when his mom asks the servants how they like the party, they were like, oh, it's great, to her face, but then they're talking smack behind her back. And he's like, wow, this must mean that humans are shit. I know that I'm like reading this like superficially, right? And that's kind of the point. I'm just like jabbing at it. Like this is not like anything that's like super serious. And that's why I think this book is like kind of funny. Like you gotta laugh, you gotta laugh. And so yeah, so basically that's what he got from the interaction, right? A lot of these interactions, he's just like, oh, this happened, and so that means humanity is shit. I'm just empty inside, and that's all I can do for myself. Perfect. And then that's basically the end of the first notebook. Just basically him running through his life and how just miserable he is and how he doesn't feel human because he doesn't feel empathy. He just feels empty inside. And that's the general gist of it, right? And that's the book, No Longer Human, right? And then we go into the second notebook, and this is where I have some more thoughts, because this is when he like gets into like college and high school and whatnot, right? So he basically gets shipped off to a high school, and he lives with his extended family. So he lives with like his cousins and stuff. And then here he just is, so you know how you move to like a new school and you can just act a muck and just be whatever the fuck you want. And so basically that's what he did. And so he was like, oh, like I'm so glad that I'm finally away from my hometown and I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And you know, that's valid. And so that's what he was doing. And then, but then he meets this fucking boy, right? This fucking boy named Takeichi. I'm just gonna call him Taki. Okay, Taki, like the snack. So this boy Taki, right? This man does not laugh. He does not like to laugh. And that pisses the main character off, because this man likes to make people laugh. But when he's not able to make someone laugh, he's like, well, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, the fuck? And so he gets mad at the fact that this guy doesn't find him funny. And so he like rips into this guy, calls him like this, like the puniest boy in class, calls him clumsy, calls him like dim-witted idiot. Like, he just calls him all this shit, right? Because he's just so mad he can't make him laugh. Okay. And so basically, they were doing like a physical exam and whatever the fuck, right? And so the main character jumps on the bars, but he like purposefully like makes himself fall to make all the girls and the boys in the class laugh, because he's just, you know, the class clown. But Taki, he was like, no, bro, like you fake that shit. Word for word, he said, you did that on purpose. And when I tell you, the main character got so fucking embarrassed, right? He said, I trembled all over. He trembled all over because a fucking kid called him out for just doing that on purpose. Like, I would be like, okay, and what? And what? I did that on purpose. I just want to make people laugh. And what? But this guy, the main character, he is so insecure. He took that to heart, right? He was like, I felt as if I had seen the world before me burst into an instant. I felt as if the world... I felt as if I had seen the world before me burst into an instant. In an instant, into a raging flames of hell. It was all I could do to suppress the wild shriek of terror. And this was all because a kid fucking called him out and was like, you fake that shit. He's just so dramatic. And that's kind of a theme of this story, right? He's just a really dramatic kid, and that probably just comes from him just not being well adjusted. But it's just, yeah. And so basically, after that event, right, after that minute event that literally nobody will fucking remember, this main character, he is so fucking embarrassed about it. Like, he thinks, like, he just like ruminates on it. He's like, oh my fucking god, like, I can't believe this happened to me. Like, I can't believe that kid called me out. Like, I'm just so embarrassed. Like, what if I run into him? I am so embarrassed. And like, this is like my favorite part of the novel, right? So he like spirals. He's like, what can I do to get rid of this kid? Like, I don't want to see him ever again, because he is the embodiment of evil. Like, I cannot believe that he saw right through me and just saw how empty of a man I am, right? And so this man, and I quote, said, oh my god, where does this thing start? Oh my god, this thing is so long. I brooded over what I should do. I would devote the hours spent with him to persuade him that my antics were not on purpose, but the genuine article. If things went well, I would like to become his inseparable friend, but if this provided utterly impossible, I had no choice but to pray for his death. And I underlined that. Because you just have to laugh. Like, he's literally praying on his downfall because he called him out in front of the class and was like, you fake that shit. Like, when I tell you, this man is so dramatic, he is so like, and like, people, I don't know if people laugh, okay, because I have not read any reviews about this. I've just heard the whisperings about it online. But for me, I find this so humorous. And then he goes on to say, I thought that in killing a dreaded adversary, I might actually be bringing him happiness. And I just wrote, perhaps, because what the fuck do you say to that? You know, you just and mind you, this is a teenager, so you just, for now, as it is in the story, I'm just gonna let him be his emo self, because why the fuck not? Why the fuck not, right? And then, so basically, he like, he just keeps on, you know, like kind of goof off of him. But like this Taki guy, he's not feeling him. Okay, every time he tries to goof off, Taki just gives him a blank stare, and he's pissed off by that. And so one day, it's like raining, whatnot, and he's like, oh man, like he's like, oh shit, it's raining cat and fucking dog. And then his boy, and then the Takeuchi guy, the fucking Taki guy, he just doesn't have an umbrella. So you know what, the main character, he's like, you know what, this is my chance to weasel into him and make him regret ever fucking with me. Okay, ever fucking with me. And so he's like, you know what, come with me, I have an umbrella, we can share the umbrella, you can come to my place and we can wait out the storm. So they do just that. Okay, he drags the fucking Taki boy along, brings him to his fucking house. And when they get there, the boy, the Takeyachi boy, he was like, oh, my ears hurt. And the main character was like, oh shit, like from what? Like, did the rain get into it? And then when he checked them out, right, when he checked out the ears, they were filled with pus. Yes. And then so instead of actually being concerned, he said, I stimulated an exaggerated concern, because he just had to clarify that he genuinely did not feel anything for this boy, because why the fuck would he? He's just an emotionless person that just doesn't feel human emotions like we do, right? And then so he said, this looks terrible, it must hurt. And then he was like, oh man. And then he said, in a gentle tone that a woman might use, I apologized. I'm so sorry I dragged you out in all this rain. And so he went downstairs, as a good man would, and he fetched some cotton to, you know, help the puss. And so he laid Takeuchi down on his lap and he started tending to his ears. Gee whiz, I wonder why, right? Gee whiz, I wonder why. Then, and then Taki once again says one thing that sets this man off into a tizzy. Okay, he says this while he's like laying on the man's lap while he's getting his ears tended to. He said, I bet lots of women will fall for you. Literally, that's what he says. I bet lots of women will fall for you. Okay. And this literally sent the main character into a tizzy, right? He said this is his illiterate approximation of a compliment. Like, he took this to heart. He's like, a man like me cannot be fallen for, okay? A man like me cannot be loved. And I was just like, it's not that serious, but maybe it is that serious. I don't know. Maybe it is that serious, right? And then so he was like, Takeuchi uttered that idiotic compliment that women will fall for me because I have been kind enough to clean the discharge from his ears. Word for word, bar for bar, y'all. And I said, what the hell is his deal? And then so his response at the time was to just merely blush and smile. How the fuck do you fake a blush? Tell me that, viewer. How the fuck do you fake a blush? No, he was feeling him. That's why I wrote what I wrote. Okay, it's in ink. I can't erase it, but that's why I wrote what I wrote, right? And so it goes on for another page. It goes on for another fucking page about him going off. He was like, I've always found, he goes on to this like misogynistic rant where he's like, I have always found the female of the human species many times more difficult to understand than the male. And then the rest of the book, you will get this theme that he just doesn't really see women as like human, even though he isn't human himself. So maybe that's like the theme of the book, like no one's human in this fucking book. I don't know. But he does say something really interesting that I do like. Okay, these wounds, unlike the scars from the lashing of a man might give, cut inwards very deep like an internal hemorrhage, bringing an intense discomfort. Once inflicted, it was extremely hard to recover from such wounds. And I quite like that, okay? Because he's referring to how women hurt men more than men hurt men. I don't know what the fuck that means, but yes. And then he wrote something that made me laugh just a little bit. He said, women lead me on to only throw me aside. They mocked and tortured me when others were around, and only to embrace me with passion as soon as everyone had left. And that made me giggle. And I don't know why I giggled about it. It just did. Because I was like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like, I know what you mean by that, but like, why the fuck? Like, you know? And then he did say something rather profound in the next few sentences, saying women may live in order to sleep. And that's the proof of it. And I was like, well, yes, because that's how I feel sometimes, you know? And if you're like chastising me about bending my book, like who gives a fuck? It's a fucking book, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then he just goes on this like rant. Okay, so basically this is him like going off about his friend, telling him that not his friend because they're not friends yet, but like going off at Taki about that one phrase they say. Mind you, it was just like in a passing phrase probably. And then this is him going off about how he doesn't understand women and how women are just like inconceivable to him, basically. So this entire page all about women. And it ends with, I suppose one can say that women stuff themselves with far more pleasure than men. And all I could say to that was, I guess you could say that, because that's a lot of what happens in this book. I'm just kind of like, okay, and I guess you could say that. Like, I don't really have much to say about it, but it is an interesting read, I'll tell you what. And then so basically, Taki and the main character, I guess they get kind of close a little bit, and Taki like introduces him to like, not introduces, like gets him like into the world of art. And so the main character, after Taki was like, oh, like I really like your art and stuff like that, he was like, you know what, fuck it, like I'll become an artist. And so he like throws himself into art, and just that becomes like his personality for a little while. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, so he becomes an artist, and but basically, just as he's about to graduate, his dad is like, oh no, like I want you to go to college to be a civil servant. I don't want you to go to art school. And then he, being the spineless man that he is, he like was like, okay, fine. He took the exam, he passed, whatever. And so he like went to college basically. But like the thing is, like, he went to the dormitories. He got there, and he was like, I cannot live there because it's first of all, it's squalor, okay? And the violence appalled him, his words. And he said, the classrooms and the dormitories seemed like the dumping grounds of distorted sexual desires, and even my virtually perfected antics were of no use there. And so he sent his ass back to his daddy's house, okay? He was like, you know what, I can't. And so he went to live with his daddy. But luckily, his daddy, you know, he's a politician, and so he's not home most of the time. So luckily, he didn't have to, you know, fuss with his father too much. But because his dad wasn't home, he didn't technically have to go to classes if his dad wasn't home. So he would skip classes on the day that his dad was, you know, on about. And he would go to like art school. He would hang out with these bums and just make art with them. And then when his dad was home, he would go to school and act all good. And so that was kind of the thing he had going on. And he didn't have to pay rent. He didn't have to worry about nothing. He had an allowance. And then so he met this guy. His name is Horikiki? Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna call him Hori, okay? So he meets this boy Hori, and this boy Hori, he's basically just a all-time yapper, right? He just loves to talk. And basically this guy introduces our main character to what he says. Before long, a student at the art class was to initiate me into the mysteries of drink, cigarettes, prostitutes, pawn shops, and left-wing thought. The gall of it. And I wrote on the margins, right? He needs to meet an NB barista ASAP, because I truly believe that would change his life. But this is like what Japan's past, and so I understand that that's not something he could do. But I personally believe that if he met like a non-binary barista, I think it would change his life. But that's neither here or there, right? So basically, yeah, he meets this guy Hori, and they just go out and drink basically, and yeah, and he of course feels the need to rip on this Hori guy because he just does that with everybody in his life. He just cannot find a positive thing to say about anybody ever. And so basically he just calls this guy like a big time yapper, and he's like, and he called him, a quote, a genuine city good for nothing. But he was like, you know what? No less than myself, though, in a different way, he was entirely removed from the activities of human beings of the world. We were both of one species, if only in that we were both disoriented. So you know what? He was complimenting him in that sense, right? He was like, oh yeah, we're both scumbags, but he's more of a scumbag than I am. But like technically, we're both the same species, so I mean, I guess I'm a scumbag in a way, okay? And then so around this time, he started drinking and whatever. He stopped going to classes and he started fucking. Okay, he started fucking. Okay, first of all, he went into this whole rant about how prostitutes. Let me find it. Okay. So quote, I never could think of prostitutes as human. beings or even as women. They seemed more like imbeciles or lunatics, but in their arms I felt absolute security. I could sleep soundly. It was pathetic how utterly devoid of greed they really were. And perhaps they felt they felt for me something like an affinity for their kind. These prostitutes always showed me a natural friendliness which never became oppressive. And that is that. And I wrote, I wonder how that works. I wonder why when you're in the arms of a woman, you feel a sense of security. A woman that you paid to give you a sense of security. I wonder why you feel so comfortable in the arms of a woman that you paid to give you that. I wonder, right? I wonder. But you know what? I'm not a man, so I wouldn't know, right? So anyways, so yeah. So he fucks, he sucks, and whatever the fuck. And his friend, right? He was like, he sat him down one day and was like, main character, I gotta tell you something, okay? But you gotta be honest. I want to be honest with you, okay? So he was like, bro, you stink. Like, you reek. And the main character was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And the man said, his hoary friend said, the odor of a lady killer had come to permeate me and the women, not only the prostitutes, indistinctly detected and flocked to me. AKA, his friend was telling him that he was getting game. Okay, he was a pussy fucking crusher. And the main character, right, he was like, oh, you don't say. But the thing was, right, instead of being like, oh shit, like, you think I crush puss, he got embarrassed by it, right? He was like, he just went into, so like his friend told him he was a pussy crusher. Was it this page? Yeah. So he told him that he was a pussy crusher, and he was like, I would have thought that he would take that to heart and was like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe that you would think of me as that. But instead he was like, oh my gosh. And so he started remembering all of these instances where he like just missed women. Like he like, just like I don't like, it's coming to me, but it's not coming to me. It's like, he like fumbled women basically. Like, it's not fumbled, but he fumbled them. Like, he like goes into a convenience store and he meets this lady and then she packs up his cigarettes and that's it. Yeah, he like ruminates on it and he's like, oh, like all these experiences that I have with these women are negative, so I don't know how the fuck he would think I'm a pussy crusher. Like, I don't know how the fuck he thinks I'm a womanizer if all my experiences with women that I do not pay for attention are negative. And so he was just like, you know what? And then after that, he said, it caused me a bitterness akin to shame to have this pointed out by someone like Horikiki. I'm saying his name wrong. At the same time, I was suddenly lost all interest in prostitutes. And you know what? I fucking wonder why. I fucking wonder why when you were told that you were a pussy crusher, you were like, oh my gosh, like, I can't do this. Like, the fuck? Anyways. And then we go into this whole communism arc that he goes through. I don't know what the fuck he added this in for, but basically, the hoary dude, he like takes him to an underground meeting with these communists. And where the fuck did I lose it? Okay. And so the main character literally like sits there and chastises all these people. They're like, oh, they're just talking in circles. They're saying 1 + 1 = 2. And it's just this like things that already make sense, but they're making it sound as if it's this big whole thing. And they're making it sound like it's super secretive and that you could be like arrested for this information when he doesn't think it's that big of a deal. But the thing is, right, he doesn't verbalize this because remember, he's a spineless man. And he like just is like this man that just likes to like, he's a people pleaser basically. And so he goes into this club and he chastises the fuck out of them. Like, he reads them to filth. But you know what he does? He stays. He like repeatedly goes to the meetings, even though his friend Hori, the one that brought him there, doesn't even go to the meetings anymore. His friend Hori had the balls to be like, bro, like, I just brought you there just to bring you there. But like, I actually don't believe in that shit because all of them are just fucking wannabes. But the fucking main character, he's like, no, like, I go there. Like, he continues to go there for some fucking reason because he says himself that he finds it fun to go there and to like fuck with the people, but like, he's not really fucking with the people because he's genuinely fucking helping them. He's like running all these missions for them, and he even at one point becomes like the president of the fucking club. And he's like, oh, but this is all for fun. Like, I hate doing it, but I'm doing this for like fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So basically so he said, I did it because I like to, because those people pleased me, and not necessarily because we were linked by any common affection derived from Marx. And all I wrote was, okay, performative king. Because doesn't that sound performative to you? It sounds like you'd be toting around a fucking macho with a fucking carabiner and a fucking Labubu saying like how much women matter to him. But deep down, he's like, oh man, like I don't give a fuck about all this. I'm just here to fucking make fun of y'all. But the gag of it all is that he's helping the mission. Like he's like genuinely like actually helping them. Like they give him tasks to do and he does them. So I don't know what the fuck he's on about. He's like, oh, but I hate doing it. I hate it. But so why are you doing it? The fuck? Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so basically that's like it goes on for a few more pages about he's like a Marxist or whatever the fuck, right? And then his father just stops deciding wanting to be a politician, and he's basically sold the house that he and his son were living in. And so the main character is basically kicked out of the house, and it is no longer supported by his father. So he goes into this dump, and he like literally goes broke like a few days right after he got kicked out. And so what the fuck was that? Whatever. And so, yep. He just becomes broke, like literally. Like he literally said, even when my father and I were blah blah blah, yeah, he just gets kicked out, literally. Like he just said that his father was no longer wanting to be a politician, and he just got kicked out, and he had to move into his own place, and he had to fend for himself because his father was no longer giving him allowance. And he was just constantly broke. And then at one point he says, then in the November of my second year in college, I got involved with a love suicide with a married woman older than myself. This changed everything. And he just says that for like out of fucking nowhere. So I underlined it and I was like, the fuck you mean by that? Yeah. It literally says on this page, I had been chosen to become the leader of the Marxist student action groups in the schools of central Tokyo. And he was doing it all for fun, allegedly. Like, how the fuck do you do something for fun and like go up the ranks? Like, I feel like you would have some type of passion. Mind you, he might be like one of those like unreliable narratives, whatever the fuck. Okay, and then he said, I decided to kill myself. And I said, because of communism? Because up until then, he was talking about how he just does not like being a communist. Okay. And then after that, he was like, after like going off about communism and after saying that he wants to kill himself, he goes into 3 instances where he gets involved with a woman. So the first instance was just when he was living in his like bum ass place, and the landlord's daughter was it or something like that would like come into his room because it was like too loud downstairs for her to write her letter, so she would go up to in his room. And that's basically it. So basically he just is like being this dickhead. He's like, oh, I'm told that some men heat their bathwater by burning the love letters they get from women. And the lady was just like, oh, how horrid. It must be you. And he's like, as a matter of fact, I have boiled milk that way and drunk it too. What an honor for the girl. Use mine next time. For me personally, I think she was goofing. All right. For me personally, I think she was goofing, but maybe he was taking it seriously. Okay. But who knows? And then after she said that, he was like, if only she would go quickly. Letter, indeed, what a transparent pretext it was. I'm sure she was writing the alphabet or the days of the week and the months. And on the little sidelines, I said, LOL modern time checking weather app on phone. So basically that's akin to like, you know, us like whenever we're at a party, we're like checking when we're like, you know, looking at our phones and shit, but instead we're just looking at our fucking like weather app, or like going through our settings. That's how I saw it. And I just thought that was a funny little antidote or whatever the fuck. Antidote, the fuck. You know what I mean. Oh, it was a comrade. So basically, when he became like the president or whatever of the Marxism group, there's this girl, right? And he called her his sister. That's also a comrade. And so she was like really into him, and then she would like buy him all these presents, but he never liked any of them, and he would like throw them in the trash the second he got the chance, because he claimed that they were exceptionally bad in taste. And so he would throw them away every time he got the chance. But despite not liking her, he kissed her. He said, In the hope of persuading her to go, I kissed her when we became in a dark place on the street. She became uncontrollably, shamefully excited. She hailed a taxi and took me to the little room the movement secretly rented in an office building. There we spent a whole night in wild tumult. What an extraordinary sister I have, I told myself with a wry smile. And I said, what was that? Like, what? Like, what? Do you understand the frustration I have when I'm reading this book? Like, this man says one thing and does the other. He says one thing, does the other, and he just has nothing positive to say ever. I wish he would just be like, you know what? I just really like the way the sky looked today, and I would be okay, cool. But all of this is doom and gloom, and then, like, you just have to laugh when it's all this doom and gloom, right? Well, anyways, and then this was when he finally met the woman that he would kill himself with, and he said himself that he doesn't even fucking remember her name because she's just that insignificant in his life. So he said, it was a cold autumn night. I was waiting at the sushi stall back in Ginza for Tsuneko. That, as I recall, was her name, but in memory is too blurred for me to be sure. I am the sort of person who can forget even the name of the woman with whom he attempted suicide. Is that it? Yeah. So basically, she's like this waitress at this cafe that he likes to frequent, and one night he like goes and chills with her and finds out that she's married to a criminal. Basically, the man was like picked up for like pickpocketing or some shit like that, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna stop seeing him now because I'm sick of him. I'm sick of that bitch. And he's like, it's going out one ear and the other for him because he's like, I don't give a fuck about what these women talk about, right? All they do is just go on and on about the most mundane topics, and they never get to the fucking point. And my fucking thing was, where the fuck are we? I was like, then bro, what the fuck are we doing here, right? What the fuck are we doing here? Because that's literally all he does this entire fucking book, and he's chastising these women for doing what he's doing. And I was just like, bruh. But anyways, but then she says one thing that makes his jollies go up. Okay, he was raging at that shit. Okay, his duck was up, and so she said, I feel so unhappy. Word for word, bar for bar. She said, I feel so unhappy. I even underlined it for easy reading, right? And then it aroused him. It really did. It aroused him. And then so he was like, oh my gosh, like that arose so much sympathy within me. That is the most empathy I have ever felt for a woman. When she told me she felt so unhappy, like I felt for her. I really did. I felt pity for her. He was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He said he was so like, he was just so like aghast that she would say that. He was like, I had freed myself from fear and uneasiness. Because she had told him that she felt so unhappy, right? And then so basically, after getting that feeling for her, she spent the night with her. I think they fucked. I don't know. I don't care. But then he was like, oh, you know what? I made a mistake. I made a grave mistake. I'm gonna get the fuck out of here, right? I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. And so, yeah, that's what he did. He fucking... And then he said, after leaving her, my happiness grew fainter every day that went by. It frightened even me that I had accepted a moment of kindness. I had imposed horrible bonds on myself. And so basically, if you guys don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, basically this guy, right, he goes into this and he's like, I fucking hate this woman. But this woman tells him one thing, right? He's like, I feel so unhappy. And then he just suddenly starts having feelings for her because he's like, wow, we both feel unhappy. Because that's just how men are, right? Men just hear one thing and it clicks them. But like, if you tell them this, and they're just like, you know what? But like, so anyways, he feels happiness, whatever happiness means for him, right? And so, but like, he just doesn't want anything to do with her. That's the thing. Like, he's this guy like, whenever he gets like anything good going on in his life, he like instantly ruins it. So by this point, he's like out of college, and he's just dirt poor. And so he's like going out to drink with his homie, right? Hori. And then so this Hori guy, he's like, I'm starved for women tonight. And then but they're both broke as fuck. So broke boys don't get pussy, as we know. And so our boy was like, you know what? I know this cafe, and they can hook us up. So they go to the cafe that what's her name, the girl Tsuneko works at. And so basically this Hori guy, he was like, you know what? When we go in there, I'm so drunk right now. I'm gonna kiss the woman that sits next to me. We're gonna sit in a booth, and any woman that sits next to me, they are getting made the fuck out of. All right. And then so the main character's like, whatever the fuck, dude. Like, I'm just trying to get my drink on. And so when they go in there, right, lo and behold, Tsuneko sits next to Hori. And you'll never guess what the main character said. This motherfucker said, it wasn't that I regretted losing her. I have never had this faintest craving for possessions. Where was that? Oh, and then he said this fucking stupid thing. He's like, it's so true of me that some years later, I even watched in silence when my own wife was violated. Out of context. The fuck is not out of context, but it is out of context to me. So anyways, so Tsuneko sends back to Hori, right? And then, he, our main character's getting all up in his head. He's like, oh, but like, she doesn't belong to me. He's like all these things, like trying to like reassure himself. He's like, oh, it's all over now. Like she's gonna get made out with, and she's gonna like, she's no longer gonna be mine because my friend's gonna defile her and this and that. But then, as a stroke of luck, his friend was like, I've had enough. Not even a leecher like myself can kiss a woman that looks so poverty-stricken. Word for word, bar for bar, right here. And I just didn't know what to say, so I was just like, oh my god. Oh my god. Because if you guys didn't know what that means, he was like, this bitch is so fucking chopped, so fucking busted, even myself as a drunk man will not give her the time of day. And I was just goofed and gagged about that. I was like, I didn't know drunk men had standards, but hey, you Japan was just different back then, I guess. And so I was gooped, decidedly so. And then so, where was that? So they just got to drinking, right? He was like, so Hori was like, man, fuck that bitch, but I'll drink to it, And then so as they kept on drinking throughout the night, they were eyeing each other up. Tsuneko and the main character, they were doing this and that. And by the end of the night, that man was feeling things, right? He was feeling things. He was looking to her eyes and being like, this bitch is broke, but I'm broke too. So what does that mean for us? And what that meant was that they would kill each other. Yes. So he said, I felt pity for Tsuneko. For the first time in my life, I was conscious of a positive, a feeble movement of love in my heart. I vomited. I passed out. You see what I mean? This guy is just so dramatic. So dramatic. And for what? This man felt 1 ounce of empathy for someone, and he was just like, oh, and that was that. Blah blah. And then so they got to talking after the, they, what do they do? I don't know what these sissies do, but they did a little bit of this, right? And so they started talking, and then she was just like, oh, my life is just so shit. And then so she laid down nightstand and was like, death. That's all he wrote. Towards dawn, she pronounced for the first time the word death. She seemed to be worried beyond endurance of the task of being a human being. And when I reflected on my dread of the world and its bothersomeness, on money, on the movement, on women, my studies, it seemed impossible that I can go on living. I consented easily to her proposal, aka meaning they signed a death pact, and so they were to die. This is what we were talking about when he was gonna kill himself with a fucking bitch. And so I'll just let you read this for yourself, right? This bitch, they spent their last days drinking glasses of milk. I didn't even know they had milk in Japan like that back in the day. I just assumed they had like water. Like water and like soy milk. I don't know why I just assumed that they didn't have cow's milk, but hey, that's just my ignorant self, okay? So anyways, the girl, she tells him to pay this time because she's been covering for his drinks this entire time. That's why he brought his friend to the cafe, because she's been covering his drinks, whatever. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, I will. And so he opens up his wallet, and you know what he finds? 3 copper coins. 3 copper coins, not even worth shit according to him, right? And so just read this. He's so broke he wants to kill himself. Because that's literally what happens. That's literally what happens. He opens up his wallet and sees how fucking destitute he is. He's like, I gotta go. And you know what? I've been there. Okay, I've been there. I haven't been like broke, but I've seen my bank account go from, you know, having some schmeckles in there to having nothing. And that feeling can get you. It can get you, okay? But the fact that he had 3 schmeckles in there and was like, this is it. Oh my god, this is it. So oh my gosh. So basically she says, is this all you have? And this literally makes him so humiliated, so fucking embarrassed. He's like, let's just go do it. Let's go kill ourselves right now. I have nothing to my name. All I have is my kimono and my coat, and that's it. We just gotta go. We just gotta go. And so that's what they did. And you know what? I'll let you read it for yourself. Look at this. If he had died here, 2 hours, done. And I would have been like, wow, what a great read. I love this. I love it. But no, it's not over. Apparently it's not over. So basically he survives. I don't know how he did, but he survived. And yeah, so when he wakes up, right, he's like, oh, he's got the news that his family's going to disown him for trying to kill himself. Whatever the fuck, you know, times fucking day. Whenever you try to kill yourself, you just seem as like stupid. Anyways, so he said, oh, such matters did not concern me. Matters being his family disowning him. He said, I thought instead of the dead Tsuneko and longing for her. I wept. Of all the people I'd ever known, that miserable Tsuneko was really the one I loved. Okay, whatever the fuck. Whatever. Okay, I'm not, who's to say he didn't actually love her? Okay, I don't know what the fuck goes on in a man's mind. Even though I'm reading in the first person, I don't know what goes on in the man of a mind. Okay, a man of a mind, a mind of a man. I don't know. And then so he gets these letters from all these girls, right? He's like, oh, they're all like, please live on for me. And he's just like, I don't give a flump. Okay, I don't give a flump. And then he gets investigated for this murder suicide, whatever the fuck. Okay, and then so he just tells a lie about it. And at this point I was just so perplexed that I was just fucking emoting. I was just emoting because what the fuck else do you do in times like this, right? What the fuck else do you do? So I was just emoting. And so basically he gets like investigated or whatever, and he like fakes having, what's that disease where you like cough into a napkin and like blood comes out? Is that like pneumonia? 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 Oh my gosh. Pneumonia? You guys didn't hear that. Okay, and then so yeah, so he gets to the first round of interviews with this one police officer. He tells him this like made up story, whatever the fuck, alright? And then so while that interview was happening, he pulled out a handkerchief that had blood on it, and he was like, oh, have you been coughing up blood or whatever? And he's like, yes. But it was actually because he was like scratching at a pimple behind his ear and was just dabbing it, and then he was just playing it off. Okay, whatever. And then a second investigator comes in, and so they sit down, they chat a little bit, and then the guy, he like realizes, like the main character, he like realizes that he can like probably get off on this with like if he pretended to be like a sick man. And so he like pulled out the handkerchief again and he like started coughing, and he like really played it up. He was like, oh, and he was really playing it up, right? And then so this guy, he was like, you mustn't neglect your health that way. You've been coughing up blood, haven't you? Yes. And so he brought that shit out, and he was just like, you know, playing it up. And then wouldn't you have it, the police officer, the second one that he was like, was that real? Was that real? And you know what that did to our main character. You damn well know, because when that happened the first time with that boy Taki, it happened the second time because he did not learn from that. Or was it? He said, sometimes even though I have sometimes I have even thought that I should have preferred to be sentenced to 10 years imprisonment than to be met with such gentle contempt from the district attorney. Like, how dramatic is that? He's like, he just got called out on a fucking lie, and he's like, you know what? I'd rather be locked up. Like the lack of like self-worth this guy has is just insane to me. Like, he could have just been, oh yeah, my bad. I just, you know, like, you know how it is, doc. And he's just been like, okay, whatever. But no, he's just like so dramatic about it. He's like, oh, like, I have to kill myself. And as where I stopped. This is where I stopped. I'm just gonna read the last paragraph to you. I could see through the tall windows behind my bench, the evening sky glowing in the sunset. Seagulls were flying in the line in which somehow suggested the curved woman's body. And all I had to say to that was, still thinking of pussy after trying to kill himself. And that's all she wrote. And that's all she wrote. That's literally all she wrote, because I couldn't bear to read another chapter of this, and it's getting, it's actually 9 in the morning. I started reading this at 6 in the morning. It's 9 in the morning now, and so I just need to take a break from this book, because oh my fucking god. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about. I don't know if this is like some novel book that I need to do a reread to do, but I mean, I am willing to reread it, but you know, I'm not even like halfway done, so, well, I am, but what a tale that's been. So I'll keep you guys updated as I progress in the story. Hopefully I just don't drop it, because it's making me want to. It's making me want to. But I'll keep on reading through it. I'll do a little more hee hang, and I'll come back to you, because hopefully he kills himself and it's over and done with. Okay, that's all I got to say. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, I guess.